Fala, meus amigos! Fala, minhas amigas! Sejam muito bem-vindos e muito bem-vindas a mais uma entrevista aqui do Ibagenscast. Quem fala aqui, como sempre, é o Manu. E antes de eu introduzir o nosso ilustríssimo convidado, peço para que você se inscreva no canal, ative as notificações, deixe o like, nos siga nas redes sociais, se quiser e puder, contribua com o meu trabalho via Pix e considere se tornar membro aqui do canal para contribuir com o canal mensalmente. Nosso convidado, ele é uma lenda da guitarra, um dos maiores guitarristas do mundo, já tocou com grandes artistas, é guitarrista da Sons of Apollo, ele tá entendendo tudo que eu tô falando e ele tá de volta com a sua nova banda Art of Anarchy. Eu tô falando do Ron Bumblefoot THAL. Ron, it's really good to have you here. Thanks for accepting my invitation, man. How are you doing?
Thank you so much.
And of course you understood everything I said in Portuguese.
Every word. Yeah, exactly.
Ron, to start, I was doing some final research right before the interview started, and I was reading something and watching some videos, and then YouTube recommends me one video I didn't watch for a long time. It is a video of yours, and you are playing and singing Soundgarden's "The Day I Try to Live."
Oh, okay.
And I had to stop to watch this video because Super Unknown is one of the albums of my life. And I remember when I watched this video, oh my goodness, Ron, it's amazing. You playing is killer, but you also can sing pretty well. Congratulations, man.
Thank you so much. Obrigado.
So you like,
obrigado.
You also like Super Unknown?
Oh yeah. I mean, from the first time I heard Bad Motorfinger, it was like, I don't know, it was like the middle of the night, and this video comes on MTV, and the world is all just these fucking hair bands, and I'm so sick of it. It's like, where's the depth? Where's the, and suddenly I hear Outshined. I'm like, oh my God, this is like a mixture of like everything I love, and instantly hooked. Soundgarden fan ever since. Yeah.
Oh man.
And then I went back and checked out the old stuff. Yeah. And of course, moving forward with it, and Cornell's Euphoria Morning and everything. And yeah, but that album. Whew.
And about Chris Cornell. Chris Cornell is not only, in my opinion, one of the greatest singers of all time, but he was also, in my opinion, one of the greatest guitar players of all time, because he was a great songwriter. He used to write some amazing music on guitar, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He was a phenomenal songwriter. Definitely starting most of all with Super Unknown is when they started getting really deep with the songwriting, and you could start hearing like the Beatle influences and things.
Yeah.
Okay,
so let's go straight to the point, Ron. Your band Art of Anarchy is back, and I mean, the band's last Instagram post was a Christmas post from 2017. But now you guys are back, and you guys seem to be very excited. And there are some new things going on. And when I say new things, I obviously mean the band's new album, Let There Be Anarchy, which will be released in February. I'm also talking about the music video of Vilified, which came out a month ago. But I'm also talking about the band's new moment that brings a new lineup, with Tony Dickinson on bass and Jeff Scott Soto on vocals. So to start, let's take ourselves into the last 6 years. What happened and what made you come back now? And of course, tell us a little bit about the current moment of the band and how you brought Tony and Jeff in.
What happened was we put out a second album, and we're experiencing similar turbulence with the lineup, one person in particular, and and it led to a point where we had to just unplug the band and clean the mess. And it took a long time to clean. So the end of 2019, suddenly John Voda, the other guitar player, he's really the founder of the band, him and his twin brother Vince, who plays drums. And I've known them since they were teenagers. I would record their band at my studio, and we always stayed friends with the family and everything. Wonderful guys. And that's how the band really started. I'll just jump back to that even. It started in 2011 when they just wanted to make their dream album of the music they always wanted to make, which is, just like old school metal roots in the guitar parts and drums, and just making the kind of music they love. And then they wanted to get different singers to write to each of those songs and just put out an album themselves, their dream album that they always wished to make with all their favorite people. And they came into the studio right here, and the drums were set up on that rug behind me for a good year and a half, sitting there, and started just recording everything that they had written back in 2011, and started reaching out to singers to see who would want to sing on it. And Scott Weiland was the first yes that we got. And he did the song Till the Dust Is Gone. And he did such a phenomenal job with that. And then from his camp, they said to us, why don't we make this a full band? Let's make this a band. Scott will sing, he'll do the whole album, and we will sign a band agreement and make this legit. And that's how it happened. That's how it turned into a band. It was actually Scott Weiland's idea. And which is kind of ironic considering the way things went, where when we announced the band, he denied even knowing us.
Yeah.
And that got, yeah. But let's move on to positive things. We'll jump ahead. Or let's just move on to the current things that are going on. So 2019, I won't say positive things because what I'm about to say, John, the guitar player, suddenly got very sick, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And he was actually dying slowly, and he was going blind. He was choking in the middle of the night where he couldn't breathe, and they couldn't figure out what it was. Like every system of his body was slowly just deteriorating. And finally, when doctors diagnosed it, it was just this weird, rare thing. And he needed serious treatment. And the pandemic hit, and he couldn't get into hospitals. And even then, when he finally did, he had no immune system at all. So if he got COVID, he was dead. So it was really a very scary time. And during that time, all he could really do is just lie in bed with a guitar in his hand and just watch movies and just try and take his mind off of what was happening. And he would watch the Joker movie over and over and over that had just come out. And it kept his mind off it. And he just loved that movie. And he would just watch it on repeat. And he would play guitar to the movie. And he would just write musical parts to the movie as he watched. And the opening scene, the opening riff of what he would just play that stuck became the song Vilified. So that whole boom, 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 that opening riff, that was the opening scene of what he would play guitar to when he watched that movie hundreds of times. And when ideas started just forming and sticking. And once he was well enough, that is what started the band up again. So he came into the studio with Vince, and they recorded that song. And then every Friday during the pandemic, they would come over and we would record another song together. They would come in with an idea, and we would finish 10 o'clock at night, walking out with another finished piece of music. And we recorded a good 2 albums worth of music. And during that time, even before that time, Soto, Jeff Scott Soto, we were in Sons of Apollo together, and he would always say to me, you should have just had me sing in Art of Anarchy, and everything would have been fine. You wouldn't have had these problems. Everything would have been smooth. And I was like, I know. And he said it again. He mentioned it while I was telling him about the music we were making. So I said, you know what? I'll mention it to the Voto brothers. And I said, Jeff said, if you want to try singer number 3, and they immediately said, he's in. No questions asked, no nothing.
Yeah.
If he wants in, he is in. Because, they love his voice. They've been longtime fans. They know I've always had just great things to say. They know that it would be fantastic if he was in. So he was in. And he started writing his melodies and lyrics to all these pieces of music that we had. And we chose the ones that would work best as a first album, and I was doing all the mixing and everything, and John Moyer, our bass player, he chose not to continue with the band. So I was like, all right, well, we need a new bassist. So the perfect choice was Tony. Tony Dickinson. He plays in the band Soto, Jeff's solo band. They're both in Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Tony is on the new Mike Mangini album. He's the bass player for that album. He's a funny guy. If you've ever seen his videos, How to Lose a Gig, where it starts off, it shows like $50 in the corner, and he's playing to a song, just grooving to the song. And then he starts adding more and more notes and fancy stuff. And as he does it, you see the price. You see like his payment going from 50 to 49 to 48. Like the more notes he plays, the smaller the number gets until it hits 0. And he's like, come on. He's a great guy, super talented. And then we hooked up with the company Pavement, who handles the band Plush and a lot of bands, and they're fantastic. So they're our record label. And we got our longtime video guy, Dale Restaghini. His nickname is Rage Restaghini. He did Corey Taylor's new video. I've been working with him since 2010, and he was our main guy for Art of Anarchy. And he did the new video, and he brought in Cuba Gooding Jr. to star in the video. And there's a lot of little things in the video. That's why there are so many references to the Joker movie in that song, because that's pretty much what kept John Voda sane. And it sparked the revival, the rebirth of the band, is this terrible situation he was in where he was dying. That movie kept him focused on something. He played guitar to that movie, and that started up this new album. So it's very personal for him. So there's all these references to the Joker movie because of that. And even the news broadcasts in the song, where you hear a voice saying all these things, like these news reports about the Joker will spawn real world violence and all this stuff. Those were real news reports that we took, but we had Jeff Tate redo them.
That's right.
So, yep. So if you listen back, for those that didn't notice, listen back and you'll be like, oh my God, it's total mind crime empire. That's that voice. Great. Yeah. So Jeff Tate did all the narrations and the news broadcasts in the song. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, as I said, the band's new album will be released in February. So I want to know, how involved were Tony and Jeff in the making of Let There Be Anarchy? How much of the album was already done when they came in?
Well, Jeff wrote the lyrics, the melodies, and everything. That was to the music that was finished. And it's interesting because Jeff likes to write to finished music. He likes when a song is completely done and arranged and everything, and then he takes it and says, how does this make me feel? What does this remind me of? Where does the arrangement go? And then he writes to that. And I would always try to push him and be like, come on, we're working on the song. Here's different parts that are coming together. He's like, nope, just show me when it's done, and then I'm going to do it. That's how he does it. Yeah. So he waited until songs were musically finished, and then he wrote everything to that. Now, Tony, he didn't join the band until after the music was finished. So he wasn't part of the writing, but he played everything on the album. So for the next album, for future music, he'll be involved, of course. And it's a very equal band, probably the most fair, equal band I've ever been a part of, where everybody is just equal. It doesn't matter what the scenario. Everybody is an equal, as it should be.
Great. You just released the video clip of the song Vilified, and the clip has a very strong message, and it has a great production. In addition, it features Cuba Gooding Jr. It's a great video. You said how the song came musically, how it was written, but what about its lyrics? Did Jeff did it?
Jeff wrote them. And also another thing is that big staircase that we were playing on in the video.
The stairs are the stairs.
That's the stairs from the movie, the same location. We went to that spot in the Bronx and got the permits and set up and filmed all day right on those stairs. Yeah.
I was about to ask you this because when I saw for the first time, hey, It cannot be. That is the stairs, right? So I
Those are
was
the
about to
stairs.
ask you.
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, Jeff, he came up with that, and the whole idea of how, just the vilification that happens all the time. Uh, yeah. See, you should talk to him about it. He will tell you so much about it. But definitely, yeah, yeah, it's heavy stuff, and the whole storyline for the video about a veteran with PTSD,
yep.
and he's at his breaking point, and there's gonna the police want to get in there, but he's armed, and it could end really bloody, and his child breaks through the barricades and gets
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
and it just brings him back to reality and what matters.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
And from what I've seen, this single has been doing very well on the charts. How has
Yeah.
been the repercussion for Vilified, especially after 6 years without any new single? Are you surprised with this repercussion?
I am, especially the radio charts. I'm surprised because it's not a radio song. It's not like this happy, high
Yeah,
energy, typical. It is not the radio format. I mean, it's, verse, chorus, solos, chorus. But then this whole second half of the song, that's like a whole other song in a way. And it's a long song. We did a trimmed down version for radio, but still, it's not your typical 3-minute song. So I was surprised. Also, just the dark feel of the song. It doesn't sound like a feel good song. It feels heavy emotionally, musically. So I was surprised, but metal radio has embraced it, uh, which is wonderful. And metal in general is just an open-minded music that is more open to a wide, you know, array of emotions, not just I want to go out and party, woo, best night of my life. Fuck that. No, it's about real stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, and the song is about real stuff. So I guess on that level, maybe there's an emotional connection that people into metal can relate to. So there's that.
So Art of Anarchy's latest album, The Madness, this album has that 3-minute songs, that radio like songs. The first single for from Let There Be Anarchy, Vilified, is almost 6 minutes long. I know it's just the first song, the first single, but is this a trend? Does this indicate that we will have an album that is less straight to the point and more like the first album?
Musically, it's much more like the first album. There's no boundaries or limitations being forced on us, and we could just write how we write and be who we are. So definitely, musically, it's more like the first album. I mean, every album has its own personality because the voice is a very strong personality on each album, and each one is very different, each voice from each album. But yeah. So there's songs that are nearing 8 minutes, and there's some more 3-minute ones. There's some good guitar work on the album. There's a whole lot of stuff, more orchestration, a lot more cellos, things like that. So there's more to it, and more in-depth subject matter to the lyrics, definitely. Yeah, vilified. It's about the vilification that happens when you're judged and condemned and seen as a monster rather than being understood. Yeah.
Great. And before the release of the album, will there be any more singles or video clips? What can you say about that?
Yeah. There's a very big video being worked on right now. We were hoping to have it finished by the end of this month, but there's so much involved to it, so it might take a while. So either end of the year or early next year, and that'll be another one that sort of continues the story, and it's just a whole lot of stuff to see in the video. Yeah.
And about the album Let There Be Anarchy, what can you tell us about this album in particular?
10 songs, a band doing what they do. My silly guitar parts, John and Vince holding down that kind of Metallica, Megadethy, riffy thing. Tony, kick-ass bass, and I would say vilified is a fair representation of what to expect. There's faster songs, there's slower songs, there's this, there's that, everything you find on a band's album. But
Are you
it gives you an idea of what the flavor of the album is.
are you in charge of the production in this album also?
Yeah.
Because you produced the first two records. Um, in this case, having produced two of the band's previous albums, making the third is easier, or is it harder because due to change of lineup and the fan expectations?
Every album is its own entity. And it's not like you can have a template for one album that will apply to the next one because the songs are different. Resetting up the drums, the mics are different. The playing is different. The choices made musically are different. The direction is different. The sound the band is going for is different. And of course, the voice is different. So what works for one doesn't work for the next one. So what I did is I listened to a lot of different things like Slipknot and Five Finger Death Punch, and just sort of got my head into that direction of what an album sounds like, and went for that kind of drum sound that's maybe less of the room and a little more pointy attack to them and things like that. Yeah, and just wanted, I know what John and Vince like, and to me, this is it's our band, but I always feel like it's their band because it came from them, it started with them, and it's like their baby, and my job is to help give that baby a good life. So I do what I can to get the sound that they imagine for it, and when they're happy, I know we nailed it. So, and they're happy, so it's sounding the way they wanted it to sound, because an album could sound so many different ways. There's subtle differences you can make. You can make the guitars less metal sounding and more of this like round classic rock kind of tone to it. The bass could be more in the front, or it could be kind of scooped out where it rumbles everything and you just feel the grit of it. There's so many things that change the way the album sounds and changes the listening experience you get from it. So just finding the one that seems to suit it, and and the next album will sound different. Yeah.
All right. I've already interviewed Jeff for this channel, and I hope to interview him again to talk about Art of Anarchy. And he's always involved with new projects. Does Art of Anarchy have plans for a tour? So how are you going to reconcile schedules?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to keep my schedule as open as possible. Before the pandemic, I was barely ever home. I was constantly just living out of a suitcase, going from one end of the world to the other constantly. Now, I want to stay in the seat as much as I can and just go out when we are called upon to do so. We have a great booking agent that's looking into all kinds of possibilities for next year. And when that happens, then I'll get out of this seat and I'll go play. But I'm trying to be, how could you say, after decades playing on the field, I feel ready to be a coach. So
great.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. And I will go out and I will give it 1,000% when we go out. And I will love it when we're out. But until then, where my heart is to help other bands do it and produce bands and help them launch what they're doing. So I do a lot of producing these days and I couldn't be happier. I love it. Yeah. And I'm working on my own solo album of just weird guitar stuff too. So that should be out as well.
We're going to talk about this album soon. But from now on, how much of a priority will Art of Anarchy be in your musical career?
As much as it needs to be. I don't know what's going to happen. So if it needs a year of my time, it'll get a year of my time. I'm not going to hold it back. If it needs 2 weeks, it'll get 2 weeks. Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, right now it's a daily thing. Every day I am doing something for this band. I'm kind of like the manager of the band too, in a way. I'm the one who talks to every business part that's going on. I'm the one that's contacting Pandora to change the band photo, like everything. So I am certainly busy, and that's kind of how music is. Sadly, you think being a musician is about making music, but well over 90% of it is
Oh
on the
yes,
computer. And if you're lucky, 10% of it is actually picking up your instrument. Yeah.
you're
You
right.
know,
You're right.
yeah. Yeah, that's how it is.
And but you say that you wrote about 2 albums, right?
Yeah.
So a next album is already on the plans.
Yeah.
Great to know it. So let's talk about your solo career. Your last solo album, Little Brother is Watching, came out in 2015. So
2015. My God.
yeah,
Years fly by.
8 years. So what can you tell about your new solo record?
Ah. It seems like a long time, but it's pretty busy in between. There were two Art
Yeah.
of Anarchy
Oh yeah.
albums, two Sons of Apollo albums, uh, Art of Anarchy, Art of Anarchy touring a little bit, lots of Sons of Apollo touring with Asia,
Wow.
and just touring my own stuff nonstop. So it was a busy amount of time. And then once the pandemic hit, two acoustic EPs, mixing tons of albums and songs for other people and playing on other people's stuff, and getting back into doing more teaching, which I love. I used to be an adjunct professor at SUNY Purchase College, which is a state university in New York, and I would teach music production. And I started doing that 20 years ago. And just with all the touring, I couldn't really continue or anything. But yeah, so teaching has always been a love of mine. It's really part of the spirit of being a musician, which is just sharing and getting other people to be part of that community. You hear people's music, you love it, makes you want to make music that people are going to love. And teaching is the same thing. Someone teaches you how to make music. You want to teach people how to make music so that they can do the same. So all of that spirit. So now I started working on an instrumental album, because every time I write a song and want to make it instrumental, I come up with a nice melody, and then I'm like, oh, I got to sing that. And it ends up being a vocal song. And then there's really not a lot of melody in the guitar part. I just have my crazy solo of R2D2 noise. So this time, it's like I just put a big piece of tape over my mouth as I was writing and coming up with ideas. And that's it. So I did put out 2 songs. Also, I put out 2 instrumental songs in 2019 and 2020. There was
2020.
a planetary lockdown song, and it had like 500 people almost that all laid different play along guest solos and posting videos of it, which was so cool. I figured there was going to be like maybe 6 people that would do it. And it was so great to see just this guitar community all having fun with the song. And great stuff, not just guitarists, horn players, violinists, drummers, singers. Dino Jalusic did a version of it where he wrote lyrics to the song, and yeah,
Great.
and that was with my drummer Kyle Hughes and Mr. Andreoli on bass.
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah,
it's
so it was
great.
called Back on My Feet. So yes, so now I got this new album, which has been done for months, but I'm just so busy with other bands and things and taking care of them that it has slowed down the main business part of what I'm doing. Musically, the album is done, and now it's just about finishing the artwork and making the animated music videos. I need that, and I have a guy that's making a video game for the first single that you can play, like this simple little
Wow.
video game where like the song is playing and you're playing this video game along with it. So I'm trying to do things that'll make the album fun for people and not just listening, but
Yeah,
actually
an
participating in
experience.
some
Yeah.
way. Yes, exactly. More of an experience for them. So I'm doing all of that, and it's holding up releasing the album. I wanted this album out 2 years ago, and the last time I did an entirely instrumental album was my first one on Shrapnel Records in 1995. So it's going to be
Wow.
almost 30 fucking years by the time this thing gets out. And I'm not getting any younger. I'm worrying that I'm going to die before this thing comes out. It'll never come out. So, yes. So that will be coming out. I have a couple of nice guests as well. Not too many. I didn't want it to be this whole big, every song having someone. So I just limited to like 3 guitar players, a keyboardist, a drummer. Besides Kyle Hughes, he played on the whole album, and he is just the most amazing drummer. He's incredible. There's nothing this guy cannot play, and just he's the best. He's my guy. He's my go-to guy. Kyle Hughes. Yes.
Great. And just mentioned, Yellow Sage. Have you listened to Follow the Blind Man, the album that
Oh,
just came
it's
out?
great.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, it's
Finally,
amazing.
it's out. Yeah. Yeah. He's just wonderful. Yeah.
He's a killer singer, man. Amazing.
He's
Amazing.
pretty good. Yeah.
He has a future. He has a future.
Yeah. If he sticks with this, it might go somewhere. Yeah. And now he's doing The Voice in Croatia. He's one of the judges on The Voice.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, Ron,
Damn.
I need a pro's opinion. You are a great producer, besides being a great guitar player. And recently I got my own mini home studio. As you can see, I play guitar, I play bass
Yeah.
for kind of 20 years.
And what are you using? What's your computer software of choice? What do you use?
Is an Acer, and I use a Presonus
Mhm.
to produce. I have a Jackson guitar, a Condor, and a luthier. A luthier did this bass. So I think that starting to make my own productions changed me as a musician. Is that okay? Does the producer changes the guitar player? What can you say? I have to ask you this.
One makes the other grow. As a musician, it makes you a better producer. When you start producing, it'll make you a better musician. You will get more of a sense of the listening experience. You think you have it, but once you really start producing, you can truly develop that separation where it's not just like, well, this is fun to play, so I like the song, or whatever it is that the musician side of you enjoys out of the song. You really get the listener aspect of it, and it helps you grow and mature as a musician. Absolutely.
I
And it
think
helps with tone, it helps with balance, it helps with arrangement, so many things.
I got to the understanding that uh, becoming a producer, I'm not a pro, but becoming a producer of my own stuff kind of killed my guitar player's ego, because for before I used to think mainly as a guitar player. So every problem I think I had in a song, I just add more guitars. So when I start playing the bass and paying attention to the keyboards and to the voices, everything has its place, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And we're all just a work in progress. The more you do it, the better it gets, and that never stops. Hopefully. Uh, so just keep doing it. Every time you record something, you learn something new. Every time, for decades, for the rest of your life. Every time you do it, you learn a new way to make the snare come through and not shrink into this little kind of sound that's buried under a wall of sound, and things like that. Just little things that you find your own ways that work, and you learn every time. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Ron. Thanks a lot. Well, last time I interviewed Jeff Scott Soto, he just had came to Brazil with Sons of Apollo, and I interviewed him and asked him about Sons of Apollo new record, and he said to me that maybe that wasn't on the plans. Has it changed? What can you tell us about the band?
It has not changed. Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
too
I
bad.
mean, I wanted to do a third album for sure, but not everybody in the band wanted to. So
Oh,
yeah,
that explains a lot.
yeah. So
Well,
sadly, but
very
there,
unfortunate. It's a
you know,
great band, man.
yeah. And Derek and I had written a lot of music that could have been the third album, and yeah, we'll see what happens with that music. Yeah,
Oh, great. Can't wait for the news.
yeah.
Okay. Last Sons of Apollo tour here in South America, Billy couldn't come, and
Yeah.
Anger's bass player Felipe Andreoli replaced him. So I would like to know what you thought about Felipe as a bass player in Sons of Apollo, and what it was like to spend the time with him.
Well, I love the fucking guy. Every guy in that band is absolutely wonderful. I've known Marcelo for God knows how long, a long time.
Wow.
And yeah, and Felipe, we did that song together, Back on My Feet, with Dino and Kyle, and so we weren't strangers at all. And he's just the most incredible bass player.
Have you listened to
And
his solo album?
yeah,
Oh my god, the
he's a
dude's scary.
motherfucker. Yeah, he is a motherfucker. Yes. Uh, yeah, well, everyone in Angra, they're just a band of motherfuckers. Yeah.
They are.
They should just change that band name to motherfucker. Motherfuckra. RA at
Yeah,
the end. Motherfuckra. Yeah.
motherfucker.
Yeah, just put a GRA at the end. Motherfuckra. That's their new name. Yeah, wonderful band. And just great guys. So yeah, Felipe, he of course did his homework and it was seamless. He knew that we would joke. We'd say, you know the songs better than we do. And he's just such an easy guy to hang with, to play with. It was a very easy tour, and his spirit, his being there, was a big part of that. Yeah, so I'm very grateful to him.
Great, and as you
Nothing
know,
against Billy. Nothing against Billy. I mean, Billy, he couldn't make it, but I'm just saying that. Yeah.
we all love Billy. Come on, he's a legend.
Yeah.
And as you know, Felipe plays in Angra, and he plays together with Marcelo Barbosa. I
Mhm.
know you've known Marcelo for such a long time, and he
Yeah,
tells the
I've done
story that
stuff at the schools and everything, like in
yeah,
2016, and yeah, doing clinics and even earlier in 2014. Like yeah, he's great.
you met him by doing clinics in his school.
Before that, I don't, these days you don't even remember how you meet people. You notice that?
Yes,
It's like, did we meet on Facebook or was it during a show?
yeah.
Like, it's like just the person has been there and you can't even figure out when and where it began. But yeah, maybe it was mutual friends, or maybe we talked online, or maybe we met personally. I don't know, but somehow we've been friends for a long time. Yeah. And he's a great guy and killer player. Yeah. And a good restaurant too. Yes.
Oh yeah, he has.
Whoo, yeah.
He has.
I
You know
love me
Brazilian
some
food?
food. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So you gotta bring Art of Anarchy to Brazil.
Yeah, we gotta eat. We gotta go there
Exactly.
and eat.
Exactly,
Yes.
man.
Yeah.
Ron, I think that's it. I want to thank you very much for your time, and now you can leave one last message for your Brazilian fans and tell them what they can expect from Bumblefoot in the future. Either it's with Order of Anarchy, with its solo record, or with the Derek Sherinian project.
Yeah, with Derek, I mean, we've done, like, have you seen all his solo stuff, like the live album and all of that stuff? So a lot of,
Great.
yeah, there's the stuff with Derek, there's Art of Anarchy with the wonderful Jeff Scott Soto. There's my solo music of weird guitar stuff that I hope people will enjoy. I'm working on transcribing that album. It is just a nightmare trying to figure out what I played. Can you see this? I don't know what I did,
What the
but
hell is
it's, yeah. So doing that, producing lots of bands. There's this wonderful band called the Doties, and I'm mixing their third album. They're like this garage rock band. They sound sort of like a mixture of like Nirvana and Radiohead, and
Oh
really
man.
good, nasty 90s, but melodic, genius melody stuff. And the drummer, it's just two guys, a guitarist that sings and plays, and the drummer plays drums with just the whole kit with one arm while playing bass on a synth and singing backing
Wow.
vocals. And they are so good. No click track, no anything. They're in a room playing, seeing each other, and first or second take, done.
I was about to say they're like the White Stripes, but no, they have a bass, right?
Based on keys that the drummer plays, and then sometimes the drummer will grab a stick off of that little keyboard and play, and the guitar player, singer, he kicks on this octave pedal that runs to a bass amp. So they take turns being the bass, and it is a huge sound that they get, and they are so...
What's the name of the band?
The Dodies, Dodies. Look up the Dodies Band on any social media, and they're funny guys too. They're characters.
The Dodies.
So producing their third album, I did the first two and this one now, and just producing a lot of people. There's this incredible, just wonderful girl in Canada. Her name is Sierra Levesque, Levesque. She can sing heart songs like Crazy on You, Barracuda, like nothing. Like she most incredible voice she has. And she writes her own songs. She plays every instrument, records them all herself in her home studio. And then I help her mix it. And she just put out her first song. It's really funny. It's called Get Off My Stage. And the whole song is bashing Machine Gun Kelly. So
really?
Yeah, because a year ago when Machine Gun Kelly was shit talking Corey Taylor and all these people.
Yeah.
She got mad at that. She's like, I'm going to write a diss song about him. So she made a song that just tears him apart. And it's all, it's in humor. It's funny. And she just released it like a month ago. So look her up, Sierra Levesque, and the song is Get Off
I'm
My
searching.
Stage.
She looks so young.
Yeah. She just turned 18. But she is so talented. She started off as a kid, just had this natural talent. So she started doing theater. So she was doing like the Broadway play Annie, like she was doing it in Canada, and she was Annie. She was the lead. She sings the national anthem for all the sports teams in the arenas in like Ottawa and Toronto. Like she just did like 2 weeks ago, 17,000 people in this arena. She's singing the anthem. And just 2 days ago, I don't know if you remember the band Killer Dwarfs. Do you know them? They were a band from...
It's not a strange name.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s, and great band, a Canadian band. They are so good. So she's been opening for them now and doing stuff because they're doing like their 40th anniversary shows, and she just plays all the time. She's taking these online Berkeley business courses and knows all about like the business stuff. Like she's going to go really far in whatever direction this whole music thing takes her, because she's an incredible singer. She's a great songwriter. She records herself. She's playing all the instruments. She's a great piano player. She knows the business. She does all her own booking, playing everywhere from Canada to Nashville. And she even played in LA and opened for LA Guns and joined them on stage for their big Ballad of Jane song. And she sang and played guitar with them for that song, their biggest song. Like she's doing great stuff, and she's doing it all herself. And she has just the most wonderful family, and she has just a great mind and a great personality and great work ethic. And yeah, she's fantastic. So I've been giving her guitar lessons for a couple of years, and I help her with the producing and the mixing of all her music. And she has, like almost 20 songs written and recorded. She's going to keep putting out singles and everything. So check her out too. The Dodies and Sierra Levesque.
Sierra Levesque.
Yeah.
Great. Ron, I couldn't thank you anymore. I'm a huge fan. It's a pleasure for me to talking with a legend like you. Appreciate. I hope to see you here in Brazil as soon as possible with Art of Anarchy. Because you need to eat. You have to eat the Brazilian food.
Yes. If for no other reason, just for the food. I always say, if I was going to have my last meal on earth, it would be Brazilian barbecue. And if you think about it, you just, keep it on green, never turn it to red, and it'll just go on for years. You could extend your life before they execute you. Yeah. So just keep eating meat until... Yeah.
Great. So, I'm gonna finish in Portuguese, okay? Pessoal, espero que vocês tenham curtido a entrevista com o Bumblefoot. Se vocês gostaram, deixem o like, não deixem de se inscrever no canal, ativar as notificações, nos sigam nas redes sociais. Quem quiser e puder contribuir com o meu trabalho via Pix. E não deixe de virar membro do canal para contribuir com o canal mensalmente e ter benefícios por isso. Beleza? Aguardem as próximas entrevistas que a gente não para. E é isso aí. Falou!